SteamWorld Dig is awesome. Robots, cowboys, technology, and the Old West have always made for a particularly enticing mixture, and this game puts the setting to good use. You are a robot who goes to a small town in the middle of nowhere named Tumbleton to work in your deceased uncle's old mine. And that's nearly all there is to the story. The few residents of Tumbleton offer some acceptable dialogue, some of it notably humorous, but there are no real memorable characters. The story, town, and characters are just there to add a bit more depth, atmosphere, and context to accompany the real meat of the experience, the gameplay. SteamWorld Dig is Metroidvania at its absolute best. At the start, you'll be loosed into the world with very simple mechanics. Jump and dig through dirt to find pathways further down. Pressing B will let you jump, and A will let you use a mining tool, which at the start is a pickaxe. Different blocks of dirt and rock can only be gotten through with certain tools, and upgrading, which we'll cover in a second, can make digging go faster. Your immediate goal is to find minerals. These can be brought back to the town and sold for money. This money can be used to buy upgrades, such as to extend max health, energy, or lantern time, as well as the aforementioned upgrades to your tools. Your long-term goal is to just go down as far as possible. But sometimes you reach areas that seemingly cannot be passed. In come the Metroidvania Aspects. Throughout the main overworld, you will find caves. Some of these just have large quantities of minerals, but others have new abilities inside. These abilities range from the ability to sprint to throwing dynamite. Once you have these new abilities and tools, you can dig deeper into the mine, finding more valuable minerals, tougher hazards, accessing new caves, and gaining even more abilities and upgrading further. In some cases, you can re-explore earlier locations to discover new areas with these new abilities. It's incredibly well designed. I never felt like it was randomly generated, even though it is. It balances exploration with direction extremely well. After the first 15 minutes, collecting minerals, getting upgrades, discovering new areas, and getting new abilities was a constantly satisfying, enjoyable, and addicting experience throughout the 5-hour game. The pacing is simply phenomenal. But there are some annoying things that bring down the enjoyment factor. For starters, when enemies get involved, it's more frustrating than anything. They get some unfair hits in more than not, and too often it becomes a matter of whether you can hit the A button enough times before they kill you by repeatedly running into your face with little way to avoid it. Of course, sometimes the combat is fine, and it's necessary to give the exploration some stakes, but it's annoying too often, and either way, fighting enemies is one of the game's lowest points. And then there's death. This game does not handle death appropriately. It's a bit too punishing. Every time you die, you get sent back to the town, lose all your energy, lose half your money, and any minerals you had are left back in the mine where you died. So let's cover the money thing first. It's stupid. If you die with a whole bunch of money, if you're saving up for some expensive upgrade, you lose quite a bit of progress. But if you just spent your money before dying, you lose barely anything. Presumably this was done so that you always get any upgrade you can when you get back to town, or so that going for bigger upgrades feels more exciting and risky. But it doesn't work out that way. Instead, it's just annoying. And then your minerals get left back where you died. Think Shovel Knight's death system, only you can recover your stuff from all previous deaths. Which would be okay, but it brings up a pretty massive point against the game's favor: backtracking. There is so much backtracking, which in and of itself isn't a problem, but you have to do it constantly every time your mineral bag gets filled up. You have to make your way past tons of hazards, get to the most recent teleport to the surface, sell your stuff and get upgrades, and then go all the way back down to where you were. There just aren't quite enough checkpoints for how often this has to be done. So these issues are certainly frustrating, and I spent half this review focusing on them, but it's made up for by how much sheer fun there is to be had. Seriously, I cannot stress enough how enjoyable this game is, despite these issues bringing it down. On to more superficial topics, the game is visually fantastic. Colors pop, and in general it is just a pleasure to look at, especially with the crisp HD coat of paint. Characters look especially great and are well designed. Musically, alas, it is none too special. It's atmospheric, it gets the job done, but it is nothing to write home about. It's just kind of there. Aside from the main theme, that is, which is actually quite awesome. But for those who have already beaten SteamWorld Dig on another console, is it worth getting again on the Wii U? Honestly, no one can answer that but you. There's no additional content, just features. Visually, it looks a lot better with the HD coat of paint, updated character models, bloom filter, and some additional tweaks and polish. The map and interface is on the gamepad, leading to an oddly cinematic experience. And then there's the option to use off-TV play on the gamepad or use the Pro Controller. There are a few other small additions as well, and above all else, you now just have the option to play the game on a big screen TV. So if you have been wanting to jump back into the game, this may be a good place to do it. If these sound like worthy enough upgrades, you liked the original enough, and you have $10 to spare, then definitely go for it. If it doesn't sound like enough additions, stick with the original. The Wii U version is not a massive change, but it is an improvement, and that might be enough. Which of course means that those who are debating which version to get should absolutely spring for the Wii U version, as it is better. But if you already have the original, only you know if it is worth upgrading. SteamWorld Dig is brilliantly designed. The gameplay is awesome, visually it's fantastic. Of course, it's not perfect. The penalty for death is stupid, the music is usually unimpressive, and combat isn't great. But it definitely makes up for its flaws by just being a fun, addicting, good-looking good time. It's definitely worth a purchase on the Wii U if you haven't played it before, and if you have, it might be worth an upgrade. Because if nothing else, you're a robot mining in an Old West town, and what's more awesome than that?